The combat mode submenu is essentially, I'll go through the bottom up to the top. Keep low is the default command for their stance. These controls on the bottom 6 through 9 control their stance, and keep low essentially tells them to mimic your stance except for crouching. Essentially, if I'm standing, they'll be standing. If I'm prone, they'll be prone. So if I go prone, they'll follow suit and they'll go prone. If I'm standing, they'll stand up only after I start moving the formation forward. I'm going to move up a little bit. See, they start standing. Okay. The next one is go prone. Go prone essentially means they will always be prone. And they will never stand up or go crouch or anything. They'll never change their stance. They'll always be prone. All three of these, they'll never change their stance. Stay crouched. They stay to a crouched stance, and they'll never change it. Stand up. They will stand up and never change their stance. Right. So now the next thing is the combat modes. The default combat mode is aware, and that is what you always start off with. So you always start off with aware and keep low. And what happens is if I put them in safe, they will essentially break formation and just start walking around me. And if I move far enough away from them, then they'll return to me. But essentially, they just kind of like chill out, I guess you could say. They bring the formation tighter. They're not really keeping a wedge formation right now. If you notice, they're just kind of they kind of broke formation and they're just tighter together. They will still follow me around, but they're just kind of doing their own thing in a way. So if I tell them aware, they'll return to that wedge formation and they'll keep strict formation with me. And by doing so, they also widen their grouping instead of bringing it tighter. They'll also, under safe and aware, under aware, they'll sometimes bring their weapons up. If they have an enemy contact in sight or something, they'll bring their weapons up. Under safe, generally speaking, under safe, they will always, always, always have their weapons pointed down. I'm going to go through this without any, say, they're in contact or something. This is just the default stances and how they react without any enemy near them. Essentially, under safe, they will always have their weapons rest in a rest kind of position. Under aware, they'll either or. They'll have their weapons in a safe position when they're standing around, but when they're moving, if I move forward, some of them will actually draw their weapons up. If I move slow enough. Sometimes it depends on what kind of environment you're in. But so next one is combat, or actually danger. And danger, essentially they go prone. They start using bounding movements with each other. They'll cover each other as they move, and they will move very, very, very slowly. So they will not cover ground fast. In safe mode, they also will not cover ground fast. In aware, they will follow you and keep up with you. In safe, danger, aware, and in danger, safe, and stealth, they will not keep up with you as much. Danger, they'll go prone, they'll change their stances, they'll look at certain areas, they will cover each other as they move, they will maintain formation but not strictly. If I'm moving too fast, they'll be behind me. They'll move very slowly. They'll move a couple inches and they'll move a couple feet and then go back to being prone. So that's what they'll do. Stealth, it's essentially the same thing, except with danger, they will freely fire on enemy units and things. They'll pick out targets and stuff. Stealth, they're less apt to do that. And with stealth, you also have an element of them whispering to you instead of talking to you so loudly. It's a nice little aesthetic to it. So if I tell them to report status, for instance, they'll whisper to me. You can't hear it because I have my sound on my microphone only, so I can commentate. But essentially, they're whispering to me instead of shouting to me. So their voices are more stealthy, if you will. They will also act like they're in a danger mode, but the difference between danger and stealth is they will move less quickly. They they will try to find concealment cover, and um, they'll be less apt to shoot at enemies. Essentially, they'll shoot at immediate threats to their survivability versus, say, an enemy 500 meters away. Not to say they'll never shoot, because you'll have to order a hold fire command also if you wanted that to happen. Basically, they will um, act like uh, they're in the danger mode, but with some modification to it. So in terms of that, I'm done. I will now go ahead and show you the stealth, danger, aware, and safe mode against an enemy force to see how the AI reacts, because it makes a difference in a combat environment. Sometimes it will automatically go in danger mode if they're the most common thing for them to do is if they're under fire, they will automatically put themselves in a danger mode, and it will take them a while to get out. Basically, they'll get out of that danger mode only if the enemy around them are dead, and it will take some time for them to determine that. So next, I will go ahead and create a small scenario. So I'll go here and suspend this, and I will make a group here in this town. I'll make it a op4 insurgent group, or militia group, and oops, that's too many people. They'll probably obliterate me with that many people. Patrol. So I put a little enemy patrol there, and I'll give them a waypoint. And it will be a, let's say, seek and destroy waypoint with a as placement radius of 250 and a combat mode of open fire, engage at will, and a behavior of combat. Okay. So that should be pretty good. And I will give my guys a Land Rover. Dun, dun, dun. Cars Desert. Off-road. Right. So what I'm going to do is, using different combat modes, we are going to go towards that enemy and try to engage them. So I'll put my guys in safe first, and I'll tell them to board this after I get into it. Actually, I can tell them to do it before I get into it. So they'll board here. I'll wait for them to get in. Okay, they're all in. We'll go to this town over here. So basically, we're going to act like we're on patrol. I'm going to act like I don't know where the enemy is, but I know they're somewhere in this town. We have a report of them somewhere here. So in the safe combat mode, they're somewhere around here. Generally speaking, in the safe combat mode, if these guys come under fire, they will automatically switch their combat mode to danger and act accordingly without any input from me. So Essentially, there is some randomness to this because of that seek and destroy waypoint that I placed for the enemy. I don't quite know where they're at because they'll head to that waypoint. Okay, I see them. Right, so I see the enemy. I've reported the enemy, and I'm going to give them a move waypoint towards that enemy, and they're going to be in a safe status mode. So I'm not actually going to shoot at the enemy. I'm going to watch what my AI does, and I'm going to fall from behind them. So they're still in the safe mode. I think. Yeah, they're still in the safe mode. It kind of looks like they may have automatically put themselves in the aware mode without me telling them to be. But when I checked to see if they were still in safe mode, it didn't say for them to go back into safe mode, meaning it doesn't seem they are in aware mode. But they act accordingly. They act differently for each fire mode. Like right now, we're taking hits. I almost got killed there. The AI, enemy AI. So my guys are up near that house, and I'm going to tell them to move around the back of that house. I'm just basically watching them to see how they react. Essentially, you see they're out in the open. They're not using cover so much. They are using fast movements. I just lost a member of my team when he ran around that corner there. So I did have a casualty. Okay, one of my guys is hiding behind a bush. And there's about 3 or 4 enemies. He took down one of the enemy guys. There's 2 enemies left. And it sounded like my guy just got hit. Okay, yeah, my guy got hit. He's right here. Okay. I killed that guy and trying to see if there's anyone else. I think there's one more guy because he said there's a man 100 meters away at our 11 o'clock. So far I did suffer a casualty. My number 4 was downed, and my number 2 did get injured. I do believe that's the end of that patrol for that enemy. My number 2 is hurt pretty bad. If you look, he's pretty badly hurt. He's all over the place. So I'll go ahead and restart the scenario, and I'll use the aware combat mode instead of the safe. And after there is still enemy contact. So essentially, it seems to me that they are in a aware combat mode right now, and that is automatic for them. I didn't have to tell them that when they were in a safe combat mode to begin with. And they will continue to be in this combat mode until they determine that the area is clear. And then they will return to the safe combat mode. And they will they will lower their weapons. But we're still taking fire from somewhere. Oh, I see him. So I'll take a few shots. I don't know. My AI is not attacking him. So I took him down, and essentially it will take some time for the AI to go back into the safe mode. And there was a bug that supposedly BIS fixed with this beta patch that I'm using, where they'd be stuck in like a combat mode. But right now he just said the area is clear, and after the AI says the area is clear, my number two said it, they go back into the default mode that I had them in, which is safe. So as you can see, they both put their weapons down and have returned to the safe uh, combat mode. What I'll go ahead and do now is restart this scenario and use the aware combat mode this time. Okay, so I've restarted the scenario, and essentially I'm going to leave them on aware this time and just give them a move waypoint to certain areas, and we'll see how they behave differently. The last time I played on the safe combat mode, I believe they switched automatically to aware, and I did suffer one casualty, one KIA in my team. That was my number 4, and my number 2 was seriously injured. So hopefully this time we'll do better. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and order my men to board the Land Rover. And we'll go ahead and head towards that village again. Now, I'm not sure what to expect, because supposedly what happens is the enemy should be randomly patrolling around that village. They should be moving around randomly around that village. So they may or may not be in the same location where I engaged them last time. I'm already taking fire, so I'm going to head and tell my forces to disembark. Okay, I already heard some shots being fired at our vehicle, so I've told my men to disembark, and they're remaining in formation with me right now. And I'm going to give a move waypoint to them and tell them to move towards the edge of town. Actually, maybe towards these buildings over here. I am rather concerned that I took shots on my vehicle that soon, and already I'm hearing some shots being fired from the enemy. So as you can see, my AI is not moving as quickly in the aware mode versus safe mode, and they seem to be sticking to cover, although two of them are standing in the middle of the road, but they were walking initially. What I'm going to do is follow them from behind and catch up to them. So they're hiding pretty well, I guess, behind cover. That wall offers them some cover. This wall over here. They're not really in a good stance, however, but the job is getting done. So I'm going to go ahead and order them to go to the center of town. And essentially what I'm going to do is just follow them and see how they act or react, if you will. So they are in the aware combat mode. As you can see, they are walking rather slowly through the town. It's almost as though they're walking in like a safe mode, but they are supposed to be keeping alert to any enemies around them. And I was engaged by enemies, but I didn't identify where the enemies are. So as far as they know right now, there's no enemies around us. Although we have heard some sporadic gunfire. So as we move closer to the edge, okay, one of them just identified an enemy man. He's saying they're about 100 meters away. And actually, I heard someone firing at us. Oh, they're they're actually right behind me, which is not good position for me to be in. So I'm going to take some cover. As you can see, their icons have changed when they were taking fire. When they started taking fire, they went to the next combat mode, which is danger, and now they are in fear of their life, essentially, as they're taking fire. They are returning fire towards the enemy, and the I lost one of my men already, so I have a casualty, and two of my men are engaging the enemy right now. My AI, in fear for their life, automatically set themselves in a danger combat mode after I had them in an aware combat mode. And essentially they are more or less very cautious with their movements and trying to maintain a position of cover and concealment now. And they're also bounding movements. They're if you watch, one of them moves while the other one covers him. Okay, and then while that one stops, this one will move. So they're more doing bounding Overwatch movements, kind of like a leapfrog movement, and they move rather slowly doing this, but they're supposed to be well protected while they're doing it. Um, the problem is the enemy is also moving, but I don't know if the enemy is in a combat state. Actually, the enemy is in combat status, but they're moving quite quickly to flank us. There's one individual soldier who's actually going to flank us from the north. It does get rather exciting in these close quarters battle situations when you're fighting in towns and things, because you just don't know where the enemy will appear out of or pop out from. And when you order your AI to move around, they will try to protect each other. Unfortunately, they don't try to protect you too much because they don't really care too much about your movements. They're just looking out for each other right now because I told them to move together. I think if I left them in a formation, they would probably provide overwatch for me while I moved, but it would not reciprocate. I mean, they would not break formation, so the best thing to do is just order them to move around. And as you can see, this one individual soldier here, the marksman with the light support weapon, is now moving to a position while the other one covers him. The automatic rifleman was over here. So the issue basically is that we don't want to have any enemies pop up and surprise us, so the movements are very slow and methodical, if you will. And this AI of mine just shot at someone. Probably best to get out of that doorway because he just shot at someone from that doorway. So right now on the map, it seems that my automatic rifleman has found someone. I see him. So my automatic rifleman is engaging this enemy who is about 200 meters away from us over here. Actually, it's another automatic rifleman. So he's giving suppressive fire. While he's doing that, I'm going to tell my number 4 to move over there and get him to start opening up on him also. So while my automatic rifleman's opening up on him, I'll have my number 4 start moving to flank him or advancing onto his position. I'll join with him. So my number 4 is, moving slow and methodically because he basically doesn't have anyone covering him because the movement is separate. But number 4 is covering him indirectly. And I'm sorry, number 3 is covering him, and actually number 3 took him out. So I'll go ahead and tell number 4 to come back to number 3's position. So while number 4, my LSW marksman, was advancing to that enemy's position to kind of close the distance, not that he needed to, but just to kind of take a better shot at the enemy, the automatic rifleman actually killed that enemy soldier. So now what I need to do is this other known enemy up here to the north somewhere, I have to get these guys to engage him also. So what I'll do is order them both to move up here to the north. So what happens is this individual soldier will move while this one covers him. My number 4 covers him. Then number 4 will come move to number 3's position, and then number 3 will cover him while number 4 moves. So now I got a new position of that enemy militiaman, and I got to change the area that I want them to move to. So now I've told them to move somewhere else. Now sometimes the pathfinding kicks in on this AI in these towns and stuff, and you get some glitches. They won't necessarily go the most direct path sometimes, or they may go the path of most cover or concealment so that they're spotted less quickly. For whatever reason, they may just take a while to get somewhere. So in terms of squad command, if you have a 4-man fire team, you may want to split them into two-man elements, and that way you have the most bang for your buck, if you will. Now, sometimes splitting your forces is not good. You may want to keep them all together, but in a CQB environment like this, you may want to cover 2 different sectors or sections. And you also have a faster movement because essentially if you was a 4-man fire team, then in order for you to move some ground, all 4 men would have to cover and move together in bounding movements. Whereas with a 2-man fire team, such as this, they move quite quickly around the environment. So now this enemy is a bit further away. I think as soon as my automatic rifleman or the other guy that I have starts engaging this individual soldier, I'm going to have the other one start moving. Oh, he just took some fire. So that enemy knows where we're at too. My automatic rifleman just took some fire from that enemy. So now my automatic rifleman is opening up on the enemy. And he's taking some fire now too while he's reloading, unfortunately. But he took out that militiaman. So I'll go ahead and tell him to move to the center of the town. And what should happen is, because I don't see any more targets, I think we took out everyone. We'll see as I get to the center of town, but they will remain in a... I didn't put them in a danger status, remember? I had them in aware, but automatically they went into a danger status. And just now when the number 3 said the area is clear, basically they went back into an aware status, which is what I had them set in originally. So it seems like from the safe status, they went into aware mode automatically, and then from the aware status, they went to a combat mode of danger automatically. Now the question in my mind is, from a danger mode, do they go into a stealth mode automatically? Or would they remain in a danger mode? So that's going to be the next scenario that I'm going to do. And unfortunately, this time I also lost a member of my squad. I lost my number 2, who was the grenadier. Uh, Fortunately, however, there were no injuries except for that one fatality that we had. So compared to last time, it was actually a little bit better. I did still lose one man though, unfortunately. So I'll go ahead and restart the scenario. And this time I'll go ahead and put them in danger status. And we'll see how that works out. As you know, since they're in a danger status, it does actually take them a while to board a vehicle. So for this purpose, I'll just put them in aware. I just want them to get in this vehicle. Alright, so they're in the vehicle now. I'll go ahead and put them in danger, which they're in danger now. And we'll go try this exercise again. So this is a very interesting usage of the different combat modes that you can place your AI in. So I'm just going to keep driving this Land Rover towards like the center of the town. If I see any enemy, I'll stop and disembark the troops. If I hear I'm getting shot at by enemy, I'll disembark them also. Now remember, the enemy patrol in this area is already in a combat mode. I have set them to engage at will and fire at will, and also combat state, or a danger combat state. I'm going to come over here and disembark my troops because I just don't want to go any further without knowing what's up. I should have seen them. So I'll go ahead and tell them all to get out. And actually there's a man. Okay, so I'll tell everyone to go up there. So everyone will go up there. Now by default, the AI in my team is set to engage. They're not at engage at will. The enemy, however, is at engage at will. So I'll show you in a test what engage at will do after I finish these combat mode tests. Because basically right now they're I'm just testing the combat modes that they can get into. And seems like we're taking some automatic fire from the northeast. And it seems like my men are engaging them, but they're also being engaged. I just heard a grenade go off. I heard the enemy launch a grenade at us, actually, from a rifle. So there's my AI. And as you see, the more AI you have, the more, basically they move one at a time. So it just takes longer for them to move. That's why it's best to split them into two two-man groups is the best way to do it, I think. But essentially they'll move around cover, and they'll use these buildings and things to obscure the enemy's line of sight. And so my AI is near me, and they're engaging the enemy quite well. I haven't taken any casualties. Okay, that's close. Enemy is rather close to us right now. Uh, I just lost one man because of his lack of being able to attack an enemy so close, apparently. But I actually just then got injured by my own men shooting at that enemy. So that wasn't an enemy bullet that hit me. It was my own men firing towards the direction that enemy was in, which is actually where I was around. So I think we've probably cleared all the enemy. You'll probably see them say clear pretty soon because there's no enemy contacts. I think the point where they decide there's no enemy contact is they go to the point if they observe the point where the last enemy contact was seen, and I don't know. They somehow know where there's no more enemy around them, so they'll just say the area is clear. Right now on my map, I don't see any more enemies. That's not to say there are or aren't, but they will determine if there are enemies or if there are not. So. Now, if you want to split the fire teams, I have a 4-man fire team right now. I can split them into 2 groups of 2. So I could split it so one person would follow me in a formation, and the other 2 would be moving together. That would work pretty well. Um, the only thing is there wouldn't be a communication between me and my AI. I'd have to kind of micromanage the AI that would be with me to really provide me a good um, line of cover and bounding, essentially. So I would have to tell the AI with me to move to a certain position, and then I would have to move to a certain position. And I have to cover the AI while he moves, and that's pretty much how it would work. It seems like there may be an enemy unit somewhere. Oh, actually, I know why they're not saying clear. If they are already in a danger status, because I have already set them in a danger mode, and if they're already in a danger mode, they basically will not say clear to basically say the area is clear and go back into whatever status they were in. Because I had them already in a danger status, they're just not going to do it. Because automatically they'd go into a danger status and then go back to like aware, or they'd go from aware to a safe automatically. So because they're already in danger mode, they cannot get out of it because it's the default mode I put them in. Unless I change unless I change their mode. So if I say safe, now that they're safe, they'll go into safe mode. So, okay. Next test is the stealth mode, which I'm actually interested to see how it will act. So I will restart the scenario. Unfortunately, in this scenario, I did lose one man, and I myself was injured, and another teammate of mine was injured. So this time I will put them in stealth, and we'll try this again. This is really the best way to see ARMA II AI at work, is just to try it out in different scenarios and see how they act and react. And this is now I put them in stealth. What stealth does, they will not be shouting at me anymore. They will be whispering at me whenever they're talking and stuff. So it'll be interesting. I just see a little icon go up against them. I'm curious about how their movements will be in stealth versus danger, for instance. So they're in a stealth mode. Actually, I see AI. I actually do see the enemy right now, so I'm going to get out of that Land Rover. And here's my AI reacting to seeing the enemy. And they are in a stealth mode right now. And they're whispering, you can't hear it, but they're whispering to me enemy contacts and whatever commands they're giving me as far as their status and things. They are whispering it to me. And number 2, it says disembark, but okay. So what I'm going to go ahead and do and tell them to move over there. So number 2 is actually taking fire. So again, they do the bounding movements. It takes just longer for them to move, and they are more um, cautious with their advances, and they stick together. So I've told them to move. I'm waiting for them to move actually, but they're not. They're just okay. So now they're starting to move. They're just really aware of their surroundings more, and they understand they're in a combat environment. And because they're in a combat environment, they're not going to risk moving fast and non-methodically. So they're actually going from different cover. They're covering each other. They are engaging enemies, however. For one, they're extremely less conservative with their weapons fire. They, if they open up on enemy, they open up a lot on enemy. It's not like with the danger mode they would like pick off an enemy. With stealth, their objective is to remain undetected. However, if they are detected by an enemy and they're getting shot at, then they will let all hell break loose. Apparently, again, their movements are very slow, methodical. They'd like to stick together and move from cover to cover. And I've not had one casualty yet or anyone injured, which is astonishing to me because when they were on danger, I actually had 2 wounded people, one myself and an AI, and then I also had 1 casualty. So right now I actually don't have any, which is pretty good. Actually, they're both coming out of different spots. If you notice, one of them just came out of and then the other one just came out of a doorway. So they came out of 2 different doorways to this area here. So now, is there any enemy AI around here anywhere? I don't know. So I told them to move to the center of town and watch them move to the center of town. I don't know if there's any enemy AI anywhere. I am starting to think actually that they destroyed this enemy patrol pretty quickly. Uh, Actually, the AI team that I'm commanding right now seems to be quite effective in the stealth combat mode than the danger. To be entirely honest, they seem to be more cautious with their movement. They seem to be more aware of their surroundings, and they seem to cover each other a lot better. Um, and they seem to be less conservative with their um, weapons usage. They seem to open up on the enemy quite good too. But again, something simple as go to the center of town, they'll do it very methodically and very slowly. Um, these two guys are prone over here, and this guy is peeking around a tree, um, and is actually acting quite carefully. And they'll cover different arcs of fire if you look. And they're scanning, and they're moving, and they're scanning, and they're always moving. They're not like really standing in one position for too long. It does really take a long time for them to move somewhere, though. And all of this I've done just using a basic command of combat mode status that I've given them, be it stealth, danger, aware, safe, and by giving them a move waypoint to move to by clicking on the map, by left clicking on the map, selecting it and left clicking on the map. So I've not told them to engage any specific target of, in the target list. I've not told them different engage methods as far as like just engage or engage at will. And I've not told them much other than just where to move to and what combat status I want you to have. Other than that, they've been completely autonomous, to be honest. I've just let the AI work for itself. I've not interjected any of this battle either. I've not shot any rounds. I've not been a part of the engagement. So they got to the position. They're telling me they're waiting now. So essentially, they're just going to wait here. This individual soldier is not quite in a position of cover, but he is prone. Same with this guy. And this one is by building corners. It offers him some cover. So I'll go ahead and change their combat status mode. And I'll put him as safe. As you can see, since there's no enemy contacts around us, they go ahead and change it. So when they're in the stealth mode, they never change to any other combat mode. And that time around, I did not have one single injury or casualty, which just amazes me. So now I'm going to go ahead and try in danger mode, but with an engage at will command to see if there's any difference in the outcomes and in the conservativeness of the weapons fire. I'm suspecting that the weapons fire will be a lot more than before if I tell them to engage at will. So essentially, they should be able to fire at anything that they determine is a threat. So I told them danger, and I told them engage at will. I'm trying to just work out the difference between their normal state of danger, which would just be with the engage, is the default engagement rule. Rule of engagement, if you will, is engage as default, which is what I've been using these past tests because I've not changed it. For this test, I've put them in the danger mode and I've told them to engage at will. So supposedly, as soon as I come across a contact, they should be free to engage at them quite liberally versus as conservative as they've been in the past. And actually, in the stealth firing, in the stealth combat mode, they were quite liberal with their usage of weapons. I just saw some enemies, so I'm going to get out. I'm going to take some cover. I'm going to give them a move waypoint to where I saw those men. So they are opening up. With the engage at will command, they are opening up on the enemy. Pretty much as soon as we disembarked, my AI started opening up on the enemy. I don't know if they were first to open up on them or the enemy shot at them first. I do think maybe they were first to open up on them. And the AI enemy just got pulverized. So now it's kind of a hide and seek game. The enemy is hiding somewhere, and most of the time, the enemy try to flank. Uh, I lost a man. I don't know if it was from enemy fire or friendly fire. I'm suspecting it may have been from my automatic rifleman. Perhaps this individual soldier moved in front of the line of fire that the rifleman, automatic rifleman on my team was placing down. And when he did that, he got hit by automatic rifleman's fire, essentially. And he essentially got friendly fired, is what I'm thinking. But you did notice that they were a lot less conservative with their weapons fire. They did seem to use more ammunition. Um, they took down the targets quite quickly. Seems like there's no more enemies spotted, so I'll go ahead and restart the scenario and see what happens with the same parameters, and I'll be able to see for sure if that was friendly fire or I do actually lose a man. I do get tired of losing men. You do want to keep your AI alive because each one is actually a resource that it's quite useful. Nothing worse in a four-man fire team than getting your AI killed and then being reduced to a three-man fire team or two-man fire team. So I'll just give the same parameters I had before, and we'll move over to this village. Now, by coming in a vehicle, I do kind of give away the element of surprise sometimes on my end. What I should really be doing is moving towards like the outskirts of this village and moving in by foot, um, at least maybe 300 meters, if not 500 meters away from the village. But I do kind of want to just get here fast and do a quick demonstration, so I am looking out for any enemies in sight. I don't really see any yet. Um, okay, I haven't seen any yet, but I'll disembark the troops. They may be hiding behind some buildings or something. And actually, they're right in front of us. Okay, one of the things you'll notice is the AI is pretty apt at, scattering their men also. So sometimes I will be at a disadvantage because, as you can see, they're quite scattered about, but they're in a general location somewhere. I rather get to cover right now because they're going to be coming up on me. Not sure if that was my automatic rifleman or that's an enemy PKM or something. Does sound like it's my automatic rifleman though. Okay, see, my grenadier is actually firing. Actually, that's my automatic rifleman who is firing towards the enemy, and it may get to a point where I actually have to join this engagement too, because it seems like they're surrounding us right now, which is not a good thing. You especially want to avoid them surrounding you, and I'm actually concerned about my number two. He's alive. Oh, he's right in front of me. As you can see, there's a dead corpse right in front of me, which is not a good sign. So, it is an enemy corpse, not a friendly corpse. So. So my number 2 saw an enemy and opened up on him. And so far so good actually, because last time I had a casualty and this time we're doing good. I don't have anyone down. It seems like it's sometimes a hit or miss. It just depends on whoever has a good position and um, whoever gets the drop on someone. Sometimes the AI on my team will just be stupid and run somewhere, and then they'll run into an enemy contact, and well, it's just a matter of whoever gets first shot off. So in this situation, though, it appears that I'm actually lost. It sounds to me that my team is actually taking fire, and I actually do hear bullets landing around me. So I am a little bit concerned, and actually that's an automatic rifleman up here who's firing at me. I don't like how they're positioned right now because basically they're all clumped together. I'd rather they be spread out, but it is kind of a choke point to come through this entrance here, and they'll manage. But they are taking fire. Um, an automatic rifleman is actually pretty um, that automatic rifleman is actually causing me some problem. Okay, so they took out that automatic rifleman. So if you remember, the parameters I gave them was basically just engage at will and combat uh, mode status. And essentially all I'm doing is giving them waypoints to move to places where I see an enemy. I'm not even telling them to engage the enemy, and they'll do it automatically. Right now there's an enemy coming up on me. Yeah, I'll follow my automatic rifleman. I actually can hear the enemy talking right now, which is never a good sign. That means they're right nearby. So when an enemy is giving their AI commands as such, okay, I already see them. They will speak to them, and you'll overhear their conversation. It's not really a conversation. You'll overhear their orders. This is Pakistani militia, so they speak Pakistani language, not English. So, but sometimes that's why the stealth combat mode would be useful. So if you're in like a game with someone, they can't overhear you giving commands if you're nearby, unless you're using um, voice over IP or something like the in-game voice comms. Then they would overhear you. But if you're just using standard commands like I am, using the number keys, then they would not hear. They would hear you if they were close enough, but they would not be so apt to hearing you. And my marksman with LSW took out one of them. If you hear the supersonic crack of bullets, that means you're having bullets whizzing past you, and essentially you're being shot at. Now, the supersonic crack of bullets, they come from both friendly uh, weapons fire and also enemy weapons fire, so it's hard to tell sometimes if you're being shot at by friendlies or enemies. Sometimes you'll just overhear the supersonic crack because it whizzes by you, but it's a friendly weapon firing it. It's a friendly soldier firing near you or something. But I have this one more guy that is just seems like he's fleeing from us because his team has been, I mean, his enemy patrol has been totally decimated by my squad, and we're basically just moving to to get him. And I guess my automatic rifleman saw him briefly and opened up on him. What I can do is tell my automatic rifleman to lay down suppressive fire. And what he'll do basically is just shoot with the last location that the bad guy was seen at. So, seems like my AI doesn't want to. Actually, this would be a good position for my number 3 to come to. So I'll tell him to come over here. He can actually see the bad guy. I just saw the bad guy running around, so I'm going to tell my number 3 to go into that house and go to that position there. And I'm going to tell my number 2 and my number 4 to be another team, which I'll go to in the next section. And I'll tell them to go over here. But it sounds like the other team just took out that man. But I told my number 3 to come up here, and he is now up here. And essentially, if there was a bad guy over here towards that direction, I tell him to fire at them. So what I'll do instead is I'll tell my number 2 and 4 to go over there, and I'll have my number 3 AI shoot at him. So my number 3 is over here. Actually, I have to look at this vantage point here and see where. Okay, I want them to go right there. So I'll tell them to go over there. So once they move over there, I'm going to tell my number 3 to open up on them. So number 3, target 0. And then this is the number 2. 3, fire. So unfortunately my number 3 is not really in a good spot. So as you can see, the position that this AI automatic rifleman should be in is about here, right at the window, so he could shoot out the window, which is what I was hoping for him to do. But he's not really able to. So what I'm going to tell him to do instead is to come up here at this position and shoot from here. So I'll tell him to move over here. And he's going to move over here. And then he's going to shoot from here. Oh, he's shooting from the window actually now. It seems like when he was moving, when he started moving, he started shooting at the target because the target got within his line of sight from his weapon. I'm curious if he'll do that. Okay, there we go. So he's crouched, he's prone. I don't want him to go prone, so I have to tell him to stay. Oh, actually, he did it himself. Okay. So 3. Who's that target over there? That's my grenadier. So he did hit the target, which is the grenadier over there. I'm going to tell him to suppressive fire. So now, let me see. Let me see. I'm going to tell him to go crouched this time because I want to see what happens when he crouches. See, when he's moved to that position, he doesn't really have a good line of sight. So you got to move him to another position and then move him over to there. It's just like, if he was standing here, he has a perfect line of sight with that soldier and he can shoot at them. If he's standing over here at the wall instead of the window, then he just doesn't have that view. So, where's the number 3 now? I told him to move somewhere. Okay, he moved to a different location. That wasn't where I intended him to move to. So I'll tell him to move over to here. And as soon as he comes up these stairs and comes about, oh, I'd say right about here, I'll tell him to move to the window. He may start shooting at the target once he gets to the window. No. Okay, so I'll move over there. So he'll move to the window now. He crouched, and I'm curious whether he's going to open up on it. No, he's not. Okay. So I'm going to tell him to remain crouched by coming here and selecting 7, and then stay crouched. 3, target, more, and then number 2, who's actually option number 4. And 3, fire. Fire. Oh, if he's crouched, he's just shooting at the wall. So I have to tell him to stand up. He actually seems like he's going to try to move to a better position to engage that target. Sometimes the AI just doesn't. Yeah, when I told him to engage that target, he's actually going to move towards it. I don't want him to do that, so. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell him to come over here. And he'll engage. He should be able to engage the target from up here instead of that window. The idea was for him to have shot from the window, but because he's an automatic rifleman, it's the recoil of the weapon makes it difficult for him to do so. And the way he just orientates himself. So he's going to be right here, and I'm going to tell him to go prone. So 3, 7, so he should be able to fire at him. Again, clipping issues with the game. I'll tell him to stay crouched. Because there's this lip here. When I told him to go prone, essentially he's shooting at the building. He's hitting the building instead of the target. So now he's actually having rounds landing near the target. So now if I tell him to suppressive fire, for instance. If the target is still within sight, it makes no difference if he's suppressing that target or not. So he is missing quite a bit. I wonder if I tell him to stand up if it will hit something. every time he's shooting, you can actually see the bullets landing near the target, but not um, hitting the target necessarily. But it's it seems like he is um, changing his aiming. He is actually trying to get shots on the target. It seems like after he reloaded the weapon, he changed to engagement mode, which was something I really want him to avoid doing. So let me do that target more, and then 2, 3, fire. He's already on a fire status, so his rounds are hitting nearby. His first and second round hit right near the target. So this is something I wanted to. Okay, so he hit the target. My number 2 is dead. Um, what I'm gonna go ahead and do now is show. Let me see, what commands was I working? I was working with the